Alright, so we had a problem. We don't have our problem statement up just yet, but we're trying to make a system. It's called the Hood Buddy. Me and Jacob has had problems with removing hoods by ourselves and having problems with that. And most of the time, it takes several people, up to 3 to 2, just take off the hood, bulky, size, angling, and it's annoyance to people who work on that, like you guys up in Outer Collision. So we were trying to find a way to solve that problem. So, of course, I'm Wyatt. It's Jacob.
I'm Trey. Do PLTW nuclear. Trying to get a bachelor's degree in nuclear engineering. Is there
So yeah, here's a problem statement. Well, like I said, removing a hood alone sucks. It's a pain. I've done it. Jacob's dad's the one that suggested it, and so we went off that. And well, most time it's more of maintenance at home that people have this problem. But clearly, if you're at a shop and you don't have other people there to help you, if you're working on something else or with other people, you don't have somebody there to help you. And so we're trying to make a system or a tool or a product to help with that.
And we also found through our surveys that the biggest problem that people have with removing the hood or installing it is with the weight and trying to angle it at the same time. Like when it's always very wonky, it could be lighter in the back or more heavy in the front. So when you're trying to angle it, it's hard to get that angle right without scratching or denting the concrete.
Our target customers are going to be mostly people who work on cars at home and auto body shops. Because if auto body shops would be significantly more efficient if it only took one person to remove a hood instead of taking 3 to get one on each side and someone to unscrew the bolts. And if you're at home and you don't always have many people with you, you can just do it yourself, and that would make it a whole lot easier.
So we took a survey, we made a survey, and we took a survey, we sent it out to our auto body class and our auto tech class, which we sent out to our auto tech class because we did also interview Mr. Mounty, our boat tech teacher that is in charge of our auto tech, and he said, I didn't know if they worked on hoods because that's usually an auto body thing, but they said here recently they have had to remove hoods here more recently because on newer cars, not only that they just have to replace parts or fix parts on certain vehicles that are newer, but they've been having more recently just replace the whole motor. Just take it out and replace the whole thing just because of how they're made or how they're produced.
With our survey information, we conducted a survey to help narrow down our design constrictions and then find out what problem we needed to specifically address as it was mentioned in our problem statement, and just help design a product that can assist in hood removal. So one of the first questions is, do you perform most car maintenance in a shop or at home? As you can see, most people do it at home, as it was also stated in one of our articles. So it shows that our target audience is mostly going to be people who need to install a device at home, but even then they could have limited tools or whatever. And so that kind of limits our ability to design something over the top. Yeah.
There's more of our just details.
So for surveys, we had a question that had 7 different ways listed of what was the most difficult to, like what made it so difficult to remove a car hood by your own. Angling and weight were the top 2 by far. And then how much would you spend on a product like this to bring home or to use in a shop? And it ranges about $100 to $250.
And which we use this survey to give us constraints on how pricing, availability, really what we needed. Like we used the angling and weight to add different patents and products that people's made to add to our new patent to make it easier, simpler, or just easy for use.
That allows us to find our design requirements and what problem we need to address exactly. This other part of the survey is pretty much just telling you the relevance of this product. So I know when you're designing a product, you want to have a customer base to actually buy the product. So we ran the survey to tell how many people are actually having this type of problem. Now you can see not many people remove their hood very often, and that can also be attributed to the people we surveyed, because in the classes, it's mainly students that we surveyed, so of course they're not gonna have too much experience with removing hoods and such. However, it is still a pretty difficult process, as you can see with the other chart, so it's definitely something that we still wanna focus on, regardless of that information.
Like I said before, we did take 2 to 3 interviews. 2 of them were Mr. Schultz here, he's an auto tech teacher, and Mr. Mounty, auto close teacher, and Mr. Mounty, who's our auto tech teacher. And then we also interviewed Jake's dad, who suggested the idea, because he was having trouble, because he's at home most of the time, he explained it by himself.
Loves his car, he works on it all the time, he's taking the hood on and off.
So, like I said, the 2 interviews, Robert Schultz, he described it as basically impossible. Taking a car hood off, any car, any vehicle, it sucks, it's a pain. And like I said before, Gary, he told us that it's been, the newer car design's been having to replace engines more often, so then you gotta take off hoods more often.
With these articles, we found 6 articles to further outline our design restrictions and what exactly we needed to solve. So just going off one of them, it's just emphasizes how easy it is to damage the hood or the car when trying to do it alone. And a lot of people in most of these arguments very urgently said that you need to have someone to do it with you. Otherwise, it's just gonna cause more problems in the long run.
Causes like damage to the vehicle or the hood and cause more repairs.
The majority of these articles were from forums, so it was just from a general audience of several people just complaining about the same issue and saying how they also are in a situation where they're in alone and have only themselves to do it. However, it's a very hard process.
Maybe it's just there's other articles that we found that was describing the same problem with several different people and around, I guess, just periods of time and where people are. Like that one was from that's a Mustang Forum. We had another one with the Hot Rod, just any type of car vehicle.
A big thing with those 2 articles is that they actually created their own products to help them out with their situation. So that goes to show that there are people looking for solutions for this problem and the lengths that they will go to in order to make it easier.
A lot of them are just things that people put together in their garage, like putting an eye hook or a pulley on the ceiling and then putting a rope through it to try to lift it up.
Welding a bunch of pipes together and adding it onto a cherry picker.
We found some patents that we thought could contribute some strengths to our new product that we're making. It'd either be easy, like make the tool easy to use, or make the weight of the hood easier on the person who's moving around. And we just found different kind of, like the ball joint. We could use the ball joint for maneuverability of the hood when you're taking it off, angling, and removing, or even installing. You could use it to install it if you really wanted to.
And that's a lot of cars nowadays, or more often cars nowadays, where heavy machinery have it to where they got springs or coils on their hinges for the hood. So when you lift it up, it's easier to lift it up because they're heavy, and 2, it actually stays up. And then hydraulic cylinder, cherry pickers use hydraulic cylinders. That's how it lifts so much weight. So chances are that's probably going to be how we manage to get the hood up.
While these designs can help with the process of removing a hood, we are only just using them as a reference of what we should make in the future. Because as you can see, most of these are generally used for different purposes. So if you go back to like the first patent, it was about roofing panels. So even though it has like a little crane thing that allows you to hold like hoods and stuff, it's just not big enough. I mean, too big to actually be worth using. So we're trying to do is gather these different components from all these patents and try to use it to form something that's better for what we're trying to accomplish.
Like we're using different tools or patents for a different purpose or use. Which some of the products that they do make and have and carry, which we can only find one hood remover that helps with the weight and angling and stuff, and that was the hood picker. They sell these anywhere, Amazon, Harbor Freight, really any mechanic-based store. And but to use that hood picker, you have to have a cherry picker. The hood picker is an attachment for a cherry picker.
Is that the thing in the middle?
Yes.
Okay.
The cherry picker is on the middle here. This is one that I actually use and have. It's Pittsburgh 2-ton. You can get it at Harbor Freight, and the hood picker attaches to that chain, or how it attaches. I haven't used it yet, but there's just one tool that they have made and uses. But there's drawbacks to this tool and product that they've made. It costs a lot. The hood picker can cost either $200 to $300, and the cherry picker can cost up to $400 to $600, depending which one, how much weight those can carry. And the average cost was about $600, and we thought that's quite a bit for an average person in their shed or home, having to spend that kind of money to make removing a hood easier. And so we thought we could make that a cheaper and more affordable tool.
And like I said earlier, while researching this, I saw several different contraptions, people putting pulleys on the ceiling to try to remove the hood from the car at different angles. And they're cheap, but a hood picker's way safer. You don't have a chance of like a knot coming undone and then drop the hood on the car and scratches everything up.
Drop it on yourself.
Yeah,
That's it.
also helps with hurting or if somebody injuring themselves from carrying the hood, it makes it safer too with those kind of designs and products. This is part of our survey too with constraints.
All in all, we took together our survey results, interviews, patents, and products, and figured out the two main issues, as I mentioned before, that we need to solve with this is to fix the weight and the angling, make that whole process easier. So the biggest thing we used is we were just taking different components, so stuff like a hydraulic cylinder or a ball and joint could help us with the weight and make it just easier to hold, and then be able to use the ball and joint to angle it properly, with you just having to move it rather than putting all your weight into it, trying to, make sure it doesn't fall off, or especially since the weights can be uneven, have it just make it more difficult in general. So basically, we're going to implement other patents and try to keep the cost down to between $100 and $250, because like I said, most of our customers would be at home, so they want something that's cheap, affordable, and easy to use.
And which our surveyors did since they're students, clearly kids don't have a lot of money, and they wanted to keep it between $150, but with prices of materials and getting other like the hydraulic cylinder and ball joints and other products and designs and stuff that we need, and other things we have to add to it, we gotta raise the price up to keep it with prices now with like metal or like rollable wheels if we put it on the bottom of one product. It just depends. So we had to raise that price up to keep it reasonable. Any questions or comments?
No, I can't say I've been there and taken the hood off alone. It sucks. I've done it quite a few times with my old 72, and that thing's heavy. It's not fun taking off. And I've been in the corners of the hood several times, trying to take it off and put it back on. But something like that would be really nice and helpful, honestly.
Can I ask you a question and a follow-up to that? So, from like in a shop perspective, are there a lot of situations, like I would think that's something you do a lot in a shop, and is that something where it's like, hey, I'm working on this and Joe over there's working on that, and I gotta pull Joe off what he's doing to help me with this? Like you're losing time
Oh, yeah.
moving people around to do that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there is a need, like, for personal use and within a shop.
Oh, yeah. I can say, cause I've worked in an auto body shop myself, and we had a lot of insurance jobs come through where we had to take hoods off and replace all the hoods and front end parts. And just having to take someone else off another project, it wastes time on what they're doing, and kind of everything else around kind of slows things down, having two people on one thing in the wind.
Yeah, okay. So I guess, was there anything in what they were saying that like we could see in their design requirements, like, hey, you should be thinking about this or that, like that they didn't cover?
Not that I've seen necessarily, everything looked pretty good, and the design itself, pretty solid, would help out a lot.
One thing I think might be good for you guys when we move into design phase next week, like you said, you found a lot of people using a pulley.
Yeah.
I do think you guys are working on a project where whatever contraption you make, you can really use simple machines to your advantage. And I'm talking about like wedge, lever, you know, like you could probably find out some kind of system where one person with enough leverage can pick up a whole lot of weight.
That's what we were trying to do with our, like, our draw
Yeah.
cylinder, because like the cherry picker, like he said, it takes, you're carrying a, I don't know, depending what engine it is, engines are heavy, you cannot pick that up, so
Mhm.
that's why they made cherry picker.
Yeah.
And so we thought maybe we could use that hydraulic cylinder like the cherry picker did into our new patent, to use that to take off that weight.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, since it seemed to me like in your design, like since things to fix this problem kind of exist, but they're expensive, it seems like it's really important that your design is very cheap.
Be simplistic with it.
Yeah, you're wanting to create a more
Yeah.
simplistic, better for the wallet method of doing this. So I do think looking at those simple machines like wedges, pulleys, levers, and figuring out how you can maybe use those together or separately will probably be a good way to find a design that will cheaply and effectively and safely be able to do this.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Madeline, you think this will work out? Good? Okay. All right. Does that help you guys? Did we give you
Oh,
something?
no, that helped.
Yeah, that's not a lot.
Okay, all right, nicely done. Okay, so guys, we'll go back down to the classroom now, and you guys can start doing your write-up on, for element C, and everything, and if whatever you guys need help with for whatever you're working on, just let me know. That's like my whole job, so of course I'm happy to help you with whatever you need. So we'll go back down.